expires, I have found some success in older expires because everybody prospects the new ones. But the older ones, no, they're not being followed up with. Nobody's actually calling them. And when I mean old, like 2 years old. So like they listed, it expired, never relisted, and nobody's calling them. Nobody's checking up on them. And it's funny because I know right now we're having a major issue with inventory. There is almost no inventory right now as far as resales, especially under 350, under 400. And I think that prospecting some of these older expireds would be perfect. Even if you don't get the listing, these are people that were hand raisers and basically expressed that they had some sort of a need to sell their home. So right now, like yesterday, what I did was actually look up some old expireds from at least 3 months ago, up until like 2 years ago, to see, look, are you still interested in selling? Because I actually have buyers. I'm not even trying to get your listing. If you want to give it to me, fine. But I actually have buyers who need to buy, and we have an issue with inventory right now. But as far as FSBOs go, I don't necessarily tap into FSBOs at all, so I'm not even going to speak on that. But older expireds, I do tend to have some success with that.
Awesome. And one thing that I do know is the numbers don't lie, right? So I just pulled up one of my Instagram posts from today. I think I posted this today. It's just the numbers for Miami for all of last week. So last week we had 936 new listings that came online. We also did have 258 transactions that were canceled. And as far as people taking properties off the market, 154 properties came off the market and 215 expired. I will say that if I was going to tackle expireds versus FSBOs, the one thing that I would do is I would tackle the for sale by owners. Why? We all know that they want to sell. Once you know what it's like as a real estate professional, where you're reaching out to another agent via text, via phone call, via email to say, hey, Chandra, I've got a buyer for you. When's a good time for us to come in? Does tomorrow work? And you don't get any responses. Imagine what it's like for a seller who has to keep their property completely pristine. People call in saying, hey, I'd like to show the property. They don't show up. And they think the number one thing for them is how can they net the most amount of money? That's where you come in, because as real estate professionals, we know that the statistics are in our favor, that we will net the seller more money if they list with an agent versus if they sell it on their own, because they don't fully understand the entire process. So I know that our team is finding a lot of success with reaching out to for sale by owners. In one of our previous calls, there was an agent that was talking about how they're still calling for sale by owners. They're knocking on the door. They're hosting open houses to try to leverage all the foot traffic that's coming in so that they find additional buyers. So great opportunity for all of us to go out there. We know that they obviously need to sell their properties. That's why they're putting it on the market, right? They're raising their hand. So a couple of questions here. Let me see. So how are you skip tracing the phone numbers for expired listings, or are the numbers from eMine solid? I will say that, just again, I don't cold call. That's not what I do. REMIME is just an opportunity, an additional avenue for you to get numbers. Not everything is 100% accurate. Unfortunately, I know that my team will always, come back and say, I had success, but after the fourth or fifth call that I made, numbers are constantly changing. You do want to be very careful that you're not calling someone on the do not call list, right? You don't want to get yourself into some legal trouble and have to spend some money. But if anyone else is here that's having some success or has something to add, please share with Wackass and with all of us, because we definitely want to learn.
Well, hello, how are you? Hello, everyone. We've had a little success with some for sale by owners, myself and my team. What we've done is, of course, adjusting to the time. So with the for sale by owners, we like to, before pre-COVID, we would always drop a package off for the FSBOs. And what we've done is just adjust what we're dropping. So instead of dropping, cookies or something that, people don't want to get into right now. What we do is a care package for when they host, if they're going to do open houses or anything like that, we give them the shoe covers in our care package. We give them a mask in our care package and a bottle of sanitizer. And, we just have been including the notes to say, if you're going to do it on your own, here's some things to help. And then we list all of the reasons why we can help you and make this process seamless. And we've actually listed, and in the process of listing 2 properties just from that effort, from doing that.
That is an incredible idea, right? This care package, I mean, I wrote it down, Dawn. I'm hoping that a lot of people that are on this Zoom chat will take that into consideration, because it is a great way for you to say, look, whether you hire me or not, this is something that I will do for you to make sure that we're keeping you safe and that we get your property sold as quickly as possible. So I wrote down your information as well, because I will be reaching out to you separately to see if you could help me locate some of those booties as well.
Absolutely.
Your team is having success, you said.
Yes, we are having success. And just to add, there were a couple of people who weren't necessarily ready to give the listing, because, it takes about, couple of 6 weeks before they see that they need to hire a professional to assist them. But we've had a couple of the for sale by owners agree to allow us to do the virtual showings and virtual open house, which is something that you can use in your business as well.
That's awesome. Can anyone else beat that? I mean, that's pretty incredible, right? And can I ask you this? How much money is it costing you to put that care package together?
Well, we bought everything in bulk. So our total spend was about $280, but for a plethora of material. So, 1 bottle of sanitizer on average is about $2. So you're talking about something that costs $80 that you're dropping off for a homeowner, because remember, we're not giving them 12 booties and booties for everyone. We're giving them a pair for themselves, a bottle of sanitizer, and a mask, which is very low cost.
Perfect. I see so many people's minds going, right? Where everyone's like, how do I brand this so that if I bring in hand sanitizer, it's got your branding on it. I think it's extremely important. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways that I'm taking from all of this here. Super important. We do have another question from Antonio. How do you reach out to owners, whether you're using mailing campaigns, phone calls, emails? What systems are you utilizing? So does anyone want to share what they're using with Antonio to prospect again for FSBOs and expireds? Antonio, we're
call. I'll chime in. I call. This isn't necessarily for FSBOs and expireds, but I do send handwritten letters if I do have a buyer who is very adamant about living in a specific community or a specific subdivision or something. I will handwrite a letter to the sellers. To the homeowners. And then about 4 to 5 days after that, I will call them asking them if they got my letter. There are tons of free ways to get people's contact info. If you're a member of Miami Realtors, we do get Remind Pro for free now. I do also pay for, I did have RedX. I currently have My Plus Leads. As far as like free sources, you can use Spokio, My People Finder, freepeoplefinder.com. There's so many free ways to find people's contact information. And on top of that, everybody's on Facebook. I personally don't do it, but I do know an agent who will literally go and find people on Facebook and be like, hey, I'm your neighborhood realtor. Have you thought about selling your house? My buyers, Jane and John, really want to live in this neighborhood, and they do very well with that. But I do mail them, and then I call them. It makes the conversation a lot more warm, because then I can start off with, hey, did you receive, my mail or something like that?
So Brian Buffini is all about writing handwritten note cards, right? So what Chandra is describing is actually pretty amazing because all of us live in our cars, especially during COVID. You're not really going anywhere. So what I'm taking from this is just have a ton of note cards in your car. So if you're driving around, I know Jeff isn't on here, Jeff Corlon. He sees a for sale by owner sign, and all of a sudden he's like, wait a minute, I just passed an opportunity. He'll reverse, go back, either knock on the door or leave something behind. So it's super important that we just continue to do some of those basic things are actually more what's the word that I'm looking for? Effective.
Effective.
Yeah, they're more effective than you calling and being the 15th, 20th realtor that has called in the last 2 minutes. So don't think that simple things like handwritten note cards aren't effective. The only thing that I would challenge everyone, again, I see mailing campaigns. Don't spend your money. Don't waste your money. If you're just going to be sending it one postcard, definitely make sure that you keep it going consistently because you will not find any traction. I think that's a mistake that a lot of people will make. I will tell you that one of my good friends in California, when he first started about 15 years ago in real estate, he would wake up at 3 a.m., take all of his postcards, and then he would put them in front of every single car. He was embarrassed, couldn't afford to send out the postcards. So he would wake up when everyone was asleep. He did that consistently. And during, the recessions that he's experienced with his business, he's actually always invested money in postcards and he sends them religiously. He's a #1 real estate professional in Long Beach, California, because when everyone pulls back on all of their marketing campaigns, he continues to do it and the business is there to support it. So just make sure that you have enough funds in your marketing budget to continue to do it regularly.
And Amazon is your best friend. I literally just ordered 500 red envelopes that match my branding for like $12, okay, on Amazon. Envelopes, note cards, paper, I mean, all of it. Order it off of Amazon. I don't care how much money you make in this business, there's always ways to keep everything affordable. We need to always be looking at our ROIs and how much we spend, right? So Amazon is your best friend. As far as FSBOs, we also know too that after about 4 weeks of them trying to do it by themselves, they tend to get discouraged. So even if it's not a brand new FSBO, look at all the FSBOs. Go on Zillow. That's a free place to find the FSBOs. They're literally raising their hands, right? Look at all the ones that listed their house for sale by owner 4 to 6 weeks ago. Nobody's following up with them because that's the #1 complaint that everybody has about real estate agents. We don't answer the phone and we suck at following up. Every real estate agent gives up after the first or second try. So after 4 to 6 weeks, they're not getting any calls. So if you want to tackle them, I would literally go on Zillow and find all of the FSBOs that have been on there for at least 4 weeks. I can guarantee you nobody's calling them. And by then they're tired of, one, either not having anybody show any interest because more than likely they're overpriced and no one's going to go, or two, everybody who does go is going to offer ridiculously low price, compared to what they want. So that's what I would do. I should probably take my own advice.
I was just gonna say, make sure that you put them on some sort of campaign, because if you are wearing them down and all of a sudden Chandra comes and she's the one that calls, she's gonna get the business, right? And it's because someone.
Oh, you bet.
That's actually what I do, Peter. Just like not as much anymore, but when I first got started, this actually was probably one of the biggest things I did to gain experience, which was to reach out to FSBOs and expireds. What I typically do nowadays that still works really well is if the FSBO or the expired is in my farm area, let's say one of the buildings where I do a lot of work in, even if they don't want to talk to me at that time, I will still make it a point to either find out who they are and see if I can find an email from them or a phone number and just introduce myself and tell them, look, You may or may not want to speak to me at this time, but I just want you to know that I am the local expert in this building. I'll be happy to send you my track record and some of the other deals that I've done in this building. And I'm just here to make myself available should the opportunity come to maybe speak with a real estate professional. Let me know if you have any questions, type of thing. If they give me permission to send them emails, perfect. I'll put them on the newsletter and maybe they'll unsubscribe, but if they don't, they're gonna keep getting emails from me about market information or maybe some of my new listings, and they'll like how the listings are being portrayed. And you never know. And for me, that's a very polite and non-aggressive way to maybe start to peek in and earn someone's business, and gain their trust.
And I know it works, Marcelo, because in your newsletters, I see the success that you're having, right? With all the closings, all the new listings. So that database really is one of the most important pieces of business for everyone. And for all of you who might need a little bit more information about databases, Chandra has taught incredible classes for Miami YPN. They are currently available. So if you are a member of the Miami Association of Realtors, you could easily go in and find some of the pre-recordings. She is a major asset to you. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to her. That's what we're here for, is to help each other grow and get better in this business. So Marcelo, thank you for sharing. Anyone else has anything they want to share when it comes down to FSBOs and expireds and what success you're having or challenges that you may be facing? Okay, so what I'm going to remind everyone of is we are reopening our Miami YPN application. So if you are interested in joining our board, I would highly encourage you to apply. Kevin at miamire.com is the email that you should be sending your inquiries. You should also follow us at Miami YPN on Instagram. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop into our DMs. We're constantly checking to see what's happening. And we'll make sure that we send you all the details that you need. There are 4 meetings that are mandatory. They're quarterly meetings. And the best part of all of it is you get an opportunity to go to a planning conference. We don't know what that's going to look like for this year. It's typically in October, but I will tell you that we work really, really hard to set an agenda for the following year, but we also play twice as hard. So if you like to have a little bit of fun and work really, really hard, please make sure that you apply to be a YPN board member. We need people that are gonna stir the pot in a good way, that are gonna fight and lobby for real estate rights and home ownership rights. So if you're a loudmouth like myself, please, we need you to go ahead and apply and help us make this industry a much better place. Thank you, Chandra, for putting Kevin's email. So Kevin's email is there. Again, Kevin at miamire.com. Please shoot over some information. All right. So anyone else want to go ahead and elaborate on their challenges or successes with FSBOs and expireds?
Peter, we're still talking about FSBOs and expireds? Okay. I mean, Chandra earlier was talking about ROI, and if anybody is new in the room, I can't stress how valuable it is when you first get started to do FSBOs and expires, because it actually raises your confidence level when you're talking to customers. If you actually do it long enough and you start to focus on a certain area, you're going to see that you're going to become more acquainted with the whole process of buying and selling real estate. And ultimately, this is what's going to get, in my opinion, customers that want to do business with you. So this is a good thing. This is a good place to get started, is my point. If you have no contacts, if you have no leads, this is for actually, I mean, it was true 8 years ago when I started, and I still think it's true today. You want to start getting used to answering questions, and you want to start getting used to putting yourself in situations where people are going to be relying on you for advice, and you're not going to be perfect at first. I messed up many.
I think you muted yourself on accident. Sorry.
Hello?
There you are.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, my bad. I must have rambled. But the point is, this is a good place to get started if you're new. I really recommend it, and it doesn't cost any money it doesn't cost anything other than time to just make a phone call or make an email and do a little bit of research into whomever either owns or leases this unit.
And I think more importantly is just go to Google and start looking for scripts that you could use with for sale by owners and expireds, right? Because if you're brand new and you don't know what you're saying, there are so many scripts that we know work. Buffini has them. You know, every brokerage out there that are large brokerages, I know they put them out for people to use. So make sure you know what you're doing, because the last thing you want to do is practice on your biggest commission that you're going to be earning with a partner, someone that is a Miami YPN agent, or practice with another random script practice partner from anywhere in the country, because the more proficient you are, I trust me, the better you'll do in your business. You need to know what you're saying and how to communicate with your clients. So if they take you left, you know how to bring them back to the center and focus on the number one objective, which is to get their property sold.
I agree, as long as you don't forget to listen, because sometimes people jump to the next question on a script because they read the script, and especially if it's a savvy customer,
Yep.
If it's a savvy customer, they're gonna tell that you're reading a script, and you want to try to over time listen a little more, because if you listen and you ask the right questions, they're gonna tell you what they need, and you're gonna be able to help them out that way. If you listen before you maybe jump to the next question.
Agreed. And by the way, I don't know if Madeline Lopez has something to add. If you do, feel free. I know that it's showing as unmuted, so I'd love to hear from you. Okay, I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot. So sorry. I figured, just jump in there. If you're not going to jump in there, I'm more than happy to ask you to come into the conversation. Anyone else have anything?
Well, Robbie asked, typically, how long will it take? I'm assuming how long will it take to actually become successful with like FSBOs and expireds and prospecting them? But that really depends. Like, you have to be very consistent. Those who start off prospecting, especially when you're still learning the scripts, you're still learning how to handle objections and things like that, it may take you a lot more phone calls in the beginning in order to actually start setting appointments. But you need to be consistent. And the only way you really know how much better you're getting is by tracking the activities, right? So you need to know how many calls you're actually making, and to know how many calls you're making that leads to an appointment, how many appointments leads to an actual listing or sale. You need to be tracking these things, and it can vary. If you're brand new, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible to get an appointment on the first day, but really depends on how many people you call. So you just have to track the numbers, and you have to keep doing it, calling 5 people and for one day and saying it doesn't work is not going to work. You have to do it consistently and track the numbers, and then you'll get better over time, because you'll know how to handle objections better. You'll know how to handle, you'll sound less scripty, and things like that. So just start and keep.
Go ahead. Just to add to what Chandra is saying, I have had agents on my team who have come in brand spanking new, but have no filter and can care less about rejection, and have had so much more success than an agent that's been licensed for 5, 10, 15 years, but is afraid of rejection. So in this business, if you don't ask, you don't receive. And so the more comfortable you are with just asking for help, the quicker you will start to see success. And I'll tell you, I've mentioned before that I don't cold call. For me, it's all about my sphere of influence. I have a very simple script where I can call and say, hey, Chandra, how are you? I noticed that, you were out with the kids. How was your play date? Whatever the case is, people post about their lives, right? And at some point I will say, well, Chandra, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm calling because I need your help. And at that point, most people's reactions usually are what Chandra just did, right? Where she was like, well, what? Where people think I'm going to ask for money. People are going to think that I need to move in with them because I've lost everything. And I'm like, nope. My goal is to help 30 families buy and sell real estate before the end of the year. I'm 15 families away from my goal. who do you know that's looking to buy or sell, right? And then at that point, there's two things that are going to occur. One is they're going to tell me, you know what, Peter, I don't know anyone. So my number one question to them would be, is it okay if I follow up with you next week at 2 p.m. to find out if anyone from work or church is looking to buy or sell? Or if they say, you know what, Peter, I do know someone, then I just ask them, can I go ahead and get their contact information so that I could follow up with them? That is it, you know? And so the biggest mistake that we make in this business is that we do not follow up with people. And so if I tell you that I'm going to call you at 2 p.m., it immediately goes into my paper calendar, and then it gets transferred into my digital calendar so that I make sure that I call Chandra the following Tuesday at 2 p.m., right? So I would say that you can find success in this business very quickly if you're doing what we're suggesting that you do, which is picking up the phone and building on your relationships and asking for the business. But joining YPN is going to be the most important thing you ever do, because it'll build your confidence and you get to network with people that are already successful, that were once in your shoes and didn't know what they were doing. So Anthony has gone ahead and shared some information with us. So Anthony, do you mind just telling us what you just shared?
Yeah, sorry, it's a little bit loud in here. So I just shared the how to best basically make the follow-up calls. I sent the script that you guys can use, and there's some templates on there as well. If you subscribed to my other episode, you would have got that, but I'll send it out a link right now. But basically it gives you guys tips, and it allows you to really take content and put it into an email format. And then I also sent you the breakup, convert, close emails. This is what we use. And we're not breaking up with the client, but we're getting effective results, and we're seeing a high engagement, 33% engagement, when actually physically breaking up in email saying, look, you know, we're parting ways at this point. If you're not interested or it's going cold, then obviously we're not going to frown on it. But we're going to see more feedback from that, guys. So the whole concept here is to engage with them, just like social media. And then you're going to contact them either a video or by a text message, video, or get on the phone and convert the lead. So that is helping us out. And I've taken the time and the liberty over the weekend to basically take everything that we're putting in, put it into writing and send it out to you guys.